Good afternoon, Dr. Cole and class. I'm going to be talking to you today about collaborative autoethnography. And I'm going to be, at the halfway through my presentation, I'm going to be connecting it to an article called Bella's Story, which is a story about exploitation in sports. So I'm going to explain collaborative autoethnography through breaking down the word. So I'm going to start with autoethnography, and I'll bring the collaboration into it in a moment. So auto, ethno, okay, just 1 second there, little spelling mistake. Auto, ethno, and I'm going to put the graphy over here in a moment. So auto basically refers to the self. And it's an individual perspective that through this methodology is expressed through one of the methods, which is writing in poems and stories and whatnot. So it is an individual perspective based on one's own experiences. And then ethno is culture. It's the study of culture, as most of us know. And it also allows a view of an individual perspective from the self to combine with culture, socioeconomic culture, and whatnot. And then we have got graphy, the graphy part of it all. Graphy, which basically means methods. So these are methods that will bring the self and society or culture together and assemble it in certain data collection formats to present it to the world in a way that is better understood. And this is definitely the glue that brings it all together. So there's a couple of different, there's quite a few different methods that one could use in this methodology. And two methods that we're going to be talking about is, one is sequential, I'm spelling that wrong, and concurrent. So sequential is the method where one researcher will write or record their story in some format and then pass it to the next researcher, and that researcher will have their story written and they'll collaborate and combine their stories to make sense of it that way. And there can be two or more researchers that hold that part. And concurrent would be when there's one researcher sharing their story and in specific formats, and then handing it off to another researcher who collaborates with the writer and makes sense of it that way. So it's more of a collaboration with another researcher who is assisting in putting it all together through collaboration. And of course there's all kinds of issues that arise as a result of that, as we're going to see in Bella's story that I'm going to go to right now. So, did I say all that? Okay, so collaborative autoethnography is illustrated in Bella's story by this girl named Bella, which is a made-up name for the sake of the story, who was interested in expressing her story of being sexually exploited by a coach that she trusted, and she needed to get the story out, and so her and her friend collaborated, which I think we're calling her Helen, which is one of the researchers, but the story calls them author 1 and author 2. So I'm just going to use Helen and Andrew for the names. So Bella and Helen were friends in school, and so they've known each other for a long time. And the importance of that relationship is that Bella had the opportunity to share her stories through poems and stories with Helen. And the friendship kind of nurtured Bella's ability, or I don't know, I guess sensibility or bravery to get her story out to somebody that she trusted. However, it needed to be put into, well, there's ethical concerns, and also they wanted to put it together in an academic format to make sense of it in an academic world, and to create it as a publishable paper. So Helen brought Andrew in, who was a friend of hers and who was also a researcher, and Andrew would have been the one who considers the ethical issues, as well as taking the stories that Bella and Helen would have collaborated on, and his job would be to take them and create it as, or build it as more of an academic piece of work, with distance between him and Bella. So that was one of the issues, where he was a male and she was exploited by a male. It was important to all three involved to keep distance between them. So he was actually never to see any of her original writings. He would get the writings after Helen was done editing them. So through the collaboration, it allowed a nice comfortable flow of information, and it allowed Bella to not have to go through too much discomfort. And Helen, actually, there was issues there because she would have to go through a lot of discomfort by hearing her friend express her story. So the collaboration process really allowed for that. And it sounds awfully like the concurrent model, just as a side note. And so the richness in all of this is that many academics, according to the article that I posted on Moodle, stated that the grooming process was a predictable process that many academics wrote about, and they noticed that there was a systematic approach that they call grooming. And through Bella's story, they were able to pinpoint it, and it became defined through her stories and her poems. They could take the theory of grooming and see it throughout Bella's story from the age of 13 and up. So that was a great opportunity to bring attention to an issue in the field of sports that does exist today, sexual exploitation. And through research like collaborative autoethnography, it allows us to connect true individual stories to our theories, and also gives the opportunity to possibly make changes in policy and rules and regulations when it comes to the world of sports right now. With that, I'm going to close and say thank you all for listening to the video. Press the red button.